Ciao Washington. Ciao a tutti. Shall I speak Italian or Spanish or English? I'm guessing. Thank you so much for this opportunity for me to be here in Washington today, November 22nd. It's a very particular day for US. And if Mr. Kennedy would be here today, he would like and be intrigued by 3D printing buildings. Well, people say that I'm the man who prints houses. I might honestly say that I'm the man who's willing to print houses someday. Okay, let's start not from the beginning, but 1 year later, about the story of printing houses. I get off this truck in Follonica, in Tuscany, 7 years ago, with my concept working, hopefully running 3D printer. I was mad, completely mad, because the idea was to go on a building site and ensemble a structure, look like a concert structure, and in fact is the stuff derived by concert stuff, with the biggest 3D printed ever built on Earth. And trust me, that machine was not working yet. It was completely a stuff still to be tested. So it was a real madness, because after a few showers, we had to escape from the place. But you know, when you have the spike of passion, inspiration, you lose your inhibitors somehow. And I wanted to print, this is just a rendering, of course, I wanted to print a strange structure, a building structure that would be impossible to manufacture with other construction methods. And this should be a temple or a gazebo or a concept structure. And let's spend a few words about why this shape. This shape should be a sort of celebration of the potential of 3D printing applied on a large scale. And because I'm not an architect, I couldn't achieve such kind of nice shaping outcome. I asked help to an architect. But first of all, I asked to my daddy, that was a brilliant engineer, what to print with as a first structure. Because the printer is a tool that must celebrate a new language of architecture. And because my father was around his 90s, he said, oh, you have to print something that is cool in terms of conceptual perception, like the tempietto of Donato Bramante. Maybe someone of you have been in Rome. There is the Gianicolo Hill, and into the Gianicolo Hill, there is a church, San Pietro, in Montorio, that is not St. Peter, and inside the chiostro of this church, there is this concept building. So that concept building inspired all the domes of the world. Also here in Washington, in Capitol Hill, this is the very first concept of the domes. Okay, somehow I wanted to create something that might be conceptual, valuable, has this concept. And the answer I found in London at Future Systems, where a brilliant director, Andrea Morgantes, here below, was working driven by Ian Kaplishkin, an important architect, and he gave the concept. Now, I was willing to print a big, giant structure, but because of the means we had in place, it was impossible to print at a 6-meter scaled object at the time. So we went into a warehouse, and we printed a scaled-down object, layer by layer. So it's been a very long, labor-intensive work because, as you see, this is a layering process where we span sand by hand, and we selectively drop an ink with our printed. And was a very disturbing job because the liquid that you see dropping from that nozzles has been made by us mixing, starting from the chemicals, and we are not chemists, so our equipment was very artisanal, just a serpentine to dissipate it, and chlorhydric acid and magnesium oxide, like witches somehow. So this printer is, I didn't invent nothing at the end of the day, because this is an inkjet printer, or better to say, is an analog device of an inkjet printer. If you see, to a print head, the technology is a piezoelectric inkjet technology. We couldn't use it at all. This is something that is somehow mimicking this concept. Each nozzle releases droplets of a binder, and I will tell you later which kind of binder it is, but basically this is a binder that turns sand into a stone. And initially, this building should be constructed into a big shell to be destroyed afterwards. So we not only print the object, but all the container that contain all the sand that will be taken out at the end of the process. Sorry for my English, my grammar is horrible. Not better than that. And if we enlarge that picture, each of these pixels is a 5-millimeter dot, is the biggest pixel ever did on Earth. And each dot is a droplet of ink. And the dimension of this droplet is related to the capability of the nozzle to release a droplet. Because the droplet is 5 millimeters, let's make our bitmap 5 millimeter grid. And this is how looks like the process after, let's say, maybe 7 days of work, mixing sand, making material, and going to print layer by layer, 10 millimeter by 10 millimeter, a very tiring job, especially if done in summary. You see my footprints over there, because I didn't trust at all about the capability of the ink to cement the sand, so I went then to smash in order to get something that might make sense. I was conscious about the fact that doing like that, I smash the image, the shape, but much better to have something that at the end is stable, isn't standing, rather than something that has something that collapses. This is my brother below, and myself at the layer 380, that is like a 1.60 meter tall, almost at the end of the process. And at the end, we had our big egg with the outcome. And the outcome, when we broke the shell, was absolutely horrible. My brother, that is an optimistic man, he said, "Not bad. It looks so natural, looks so out of time." Riccardo, please, be realistic and honest intellectually. This is a shit. We will never approach any investor sure to succeed if we go to the investor with this shit. we have to put hands necessarily on it. So, so I put hands personally, and I made my first fake. This is a fake. I mean, this is the truth, and this is the real outcome after 15 days of, windmilling. But my brother was right, because he was lazy, and usually laziness is one of the drivers of our life. As less energy you put into doing something, as be more successful will be marketing it. So we moved on. We moved on in the sense that this image became very iconic, was spread on internet, Enrico Dini prints houses, and in the meanwhile, we started to print a lot of stuff made out of stone, and we won an incredible number of prizes without getting any money, just a lot of congratulations. If I got $1 for any shaking hands, I'd be a millionaire. So we made the chair. Tony was here mentioning about print me a chair. This is a chair. Stuff for gardening, trying to make this a business. That was not a business at all, because it was just a working prototype that should be sold, showed to an investor. This was the purpose of that machine, not running the printer. No. Just show the investor that there is a patent. Here is the first working prototype. Please invest 10 million euros or dollars in our project because we are cool engineer. No way. We had to try to stay alive selling this kind of stuff. Sculptures, facades, mocks. For a few years, we spent time in trying to attract the attention of the world. And here you see something that is very interesting, because the sculpture you saw was built on a full scale, and if you come to Pisa, you can visit the Leaning Tower paying 10 euros, and if you come to my place, I offer you a coffee for free, and you see the first 3D printed building on Earth that is made out of 137 bricks. We're supposed to bring this structure or sculpture or temple on a building site, but the mayor, that is an idiot, clearly an idiot, denied to assemble this structure because was puzzled by the imperfection of the building. This is unpresentable. What is all this? These tracks is so rough. He didn't like it. Simone Millozzi, cretino. Anyway, just to mean that we are here to print houses, we print a house in one go with our printer. We put on the building site, and the design is not so cool, but this is what the Triennale Milano asked for, that we want a concept house, and we printed a concept house. And now, because we are here to print houses, why not trying to get visibility, sending provocation to the world in order that we can use any soil to print houses anywhere, also on the moon. And in fact, I had the chance to submit to the European Space Agency this giant provocation. And we made something with Norman Foster about making a shelter for the moon. I will be very quick because it would take too long. But basically what we did was printing not one pixel, but one voxel, because a three-dimensional pixel is called voxel. I didn't know that until someone approached me during a conference to say, very shy, Mr. Dini, the pixel you are talking about are called voxel. And we printed into a vacuum environment one voxel. That is not easy at all to do, because when you release ink, a liquid, into the deep vacuum, it will freeze instantly. So we had to adopt some trick to get this outcome. And with this outcome, we could print with using a simulant of lunar soil, we could print our first section of a moon base that is basically a shelter, a very thick bunker to stop micrometeorites and waves, and this is something that was done just to get visibility. And I'm an engineer, a civil engineer. I didn't know nothing about architecture. And what about the potential of architecture? But I was searching for a language, because an architectural language, to use the 3D printer. And because I was approached by some computational designers, this is Rinus Relufs from the Netherlands, this is Batashiba Grossman from Los Angeles. These artists are called computational artists. They don't design, they make scripts. They develop algorithms. This is math. So I started to understand what to do out of this technology, because at the beginning I wanted to print houses, but what means that? If you look at the design of the Boeing 7, of the jumbo jet, this was built, the design was heavily relying on Fibonacci series. So math is the key of how using 3D printing. What I mean, we all have a sense of aesthetic that heavily rely on math. This is the only concept that I will try to transmit to you so you can relax, but I will try to tell you as better as I can. We perceive as beautiful or beauty something that has a story behind. An ordered process of growth that hide an algorithm behind, we perceive like an harmonic object that is eventually beautiful. In the same way, when we see a shape like this shape is not the outcome of an ordered process of growth, but is an ordered process of demolition. That means shaping. Shaping is not a random process of demolition or hammering something. It is the outcome of a fight between a material, that is sandstone in this case, and other agents like rain, wind, ice, or whatever. And the balance of this process is the shaping. So there is math behind this. There is an algorithm of demolition and shaping of materials. So just a few words about the material I use. We use a material that is derived by the treatment of seawater. If you mine the seawater, you get the precipitate, you can get all the binders that are used here in our process. If you keep the sand from the bottom of the sea, you can have also the aggregates. So everything is there. So 3D printing with this kind of binding technology is perfect to make in situ resource utilization building methods. And because it is a, let's say, binding chemistry that is chlorine activated, I decided to verticalize, trying to make a business out of that. I tried to verticalize this process to make application for maritime coastal application. And in fact, we printed a first coral reef. This has been designed by architect James Gardiner from Melbourne, Fan Studio, who had the idea to make artificial reef. And we placed in Bahrain and in Australia, in Sydney. We made some mocks, and they work very, very well. After 1 year, you can see how not the architectural object, but the archinatural object that are perfect if 3D printed, figure looks like. So now we can say that we can print nature. 3D printing is perfect to print items that heavily rely on math, because this object is not a design, but is just a petrified algorithm. If we can start from this movie, we show you how we generated this kind of shape. This is a cube, and we can create these voids with a certain strategy, subtractive strategy, and get in a few minutes, in a few instants, a shape that can have all the cavities that respect all the constraints. That can be engineering constraint, or, like in this case, marine biologist constraints. There is another, okay, thank you. So this is the last item we printed. This is a tetrapod that has some cavities that has two functions: filter and mitigate the waves, and enhance the fishing repopulation. We presented this stuff in Rome at the Maker Faire, very huge event in Rome, last October the 3rd. And we are now pitching and starting collaboration with big dredging companies to apply and materialize this dream. Going on the sea, mining the sea, dredging the sea, and shaping on floating structure and send back to the sea without any movement of material. And this way we can make huge coastal restoration intervention and get amazing stuff like this. This is, of course, the full picture. And eventually not only create a structure to preserve the coast, but to enhance and give to the coast, to anonymous seashores, a valuable object. So we supposed to go and printing houses, and now we are here to print houses for fishes, basically. And this is where we are. So thank you. Thank you.